Sorry, that was more. Mr. Chair, you can.
I'm trying to decide if that was a hold on a moment
it was
or.
a hold on. I swear. Mr. Chair, you can begin when you're ready.
Thanks, Matthew. Good morning, everyone. My name is Councillor Paul Ainsley. I am the Chair of the General Government and Licensing Committee. The clerk has confirmed we have quorum, so I would like to call meeting number 30 to order. Today's meeting is being held with members of council and city staff participating by both video conference and in person at City Hall in the council chamber. City Hall is once again open to the public, and anyone is welcome to attend the meeting in the council chamber at City Hall today. The public may continue to participate electronically via video conference, and this meeting is also live streaming on youtube.com at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. The clerk staff have connected registered speakers to the meeting by audio. The list of speakers can be viewed by visiting the General Government Licensing page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. I ask for everyone's patience if we experience any delays or technical problems during the meeting. The city clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on the clerk's meeting portal. And just to remind everybody, there was some concerns about how the confidential material for number 11 was being portrayed on the clerk's meeting portal, and I believe that has been rectified. Clerk's IT staff will be available members in the chamber and remotely if you need any help with your electronic devices. When voting on an item or a motion, I ask that members ensure that they keep their video on and to raise their hand to indicate their vote. Members, I want to remind you that must still submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at gglc@toronto.ca to help with motions. For the land acknowledgement, I would like to state that although we're in different locations and meeting remotely today, the committee would like to acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty Number 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. At this point, I'll ask if there's any declarations of interest under the Ontario Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, could I have a motion to confirm the minutes of our meeting on March 22nd, 2022?
So moved.
Speaker Nunziata is moving the minutes from our meeting on March 22nd, 2022. Thank you. All in favor? That carries. I understand there's a video presentation from Toronto Fire on item number 17, and I propose that we deal with this item first. Before we do that, we're just going to review through the agenda, starting with number 1. I believe there's no bylaw at this meeting. The tax item number 5 has to go to City Council. If anybody would like a confidential session, we will do that at the end of all our items, but we're going to vet the agenda first. So our first item is an amendment to non-competitive procurements with Logixx Security Incorporated and Northwest Protection Services Limited for security services at mass immunization clinics. Would anybody like to hold number 1? Seeing none, could I have somebody move number 1? Speaker Nunziata, can I ask you to move number 1?
Yes, I'll move number 1.
Thank you. All in favor of the recommendations in number 1? That carries. Number 2, award of Ariba document number 296-160-1919 to Logixx Security Incorporated for citywide security systems. Sorry, security services. Would anybody like to hold number 2? Would somebody like to move number 2? Deputy Mayor Holliday, all in favor? That carries. Number 3, non-competitive contract to purchase emergency shelters, tents, and environmental equipment for Toronto Fire Services Heavy Urban Search and Rescue Team with the HDT Expeditionary Systems Incorporated. Would anybody like to hold GL 30.3? Could I have somebody move the recommendations, please? Councillor Fillion's moving the recommendations. All in favor? Carried. Number 4, GL 30.4, non-competitive contract with BMA Management Consulting Incorporated for BMA Municipal Study. Anybody like to hold number 4? It's a report from the Controller and the Chief Procurement Officer. Can I have somebody move number 4? Moved by Councillor Matlow. All in favor? Carried. Number 5, largest property tax debtors with tax arrears greater than $500,000 as of December 31st, 2021. There is a confidential attachment to this item. Would somebody like to move the recommendations in number 5?
So moved.
Speaker Nunziata, thank you very much. All in favor? That carries. GL 30.6, 30 Adelaide Street East, new designation of a portion of the property used by Toronto Court Services as a municipal capital facility. There's a report from the Controller. Would anybody like to hold this item? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Fillion. All in favor? That carries. GL 30.7, Toronto Parking Authority settlement proposal with leased tenants. There is a confidential attachment with this. It's in ward number 13. Anybody like to hold this item?
I'll hold it.
Councillor Fillion is holding number 7.
Mr. Chair, may I also take a moment to advise you, because of the confidential attachment, this may be a candidate to go into camera.
Yep. Thank you. Number 8, allocation of Enwave easement revenue for the enhancement of the Toronto Island Park. Anybody like to hold number 8? I have somebody move the recommendations in number 8.
We'll move.
Councillor Matlow's Deputy Mayor Holiday moving the recommendations. Thank you very much. All in favor? That carries. GL 30.9, 255 Avenue Road, City is initiated relocation of an Enbridge station box in Ward 11. Anybody like to hold this? Moved by Councillor Matlow. All in favor? Carried. Number 10, response to GL 29.21, ensuring accessibility and equity for Toronto taxi drivers and establishing a taxicab fuel surcharge. I am going to hold number 10. We have speakers on that. Number 11, large multi-passenger pedaled vehicles on city streets. I will hold that. We have one speaker registered. Number 12, confirmation program response rate. There's a confidential attachment because it involves the security of property belonging to the City of Toronto. Would anybody like to hold this item?
Mr. Chair, may I hold the item? I do not need to go in camera on that. I don't have questions. I do have an amendment that's coming.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Holiday is holding number 12. GL 30.13, amendments to Municipal Code Chapter 217, records, corporate city. Anybody like to hold number 13? Can I have somebody move the recommendations? Councillor Fillion is moving the recommendations. All in favor? Carried. Number 14, procurement of emergency goods and services in response to the COVID-19 pandemic over $500,000. Would anybody like to hold number 14?
I'll move it.
Moved by, thank you, Speaker Nunziata. Moved by Speaker Nunziata. All in favor? That carries. Number 15, Administrative Tribunal Chair's 2020-21 Annual Report. This is a report from the Director of Court Services. Nobody wants to hold it. Could I have someone move it, please?
I'll move it, Mr. Chair. Stephen Holiday.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Holidays. Moving the recommendations. And number 15, all in favor, and that carries. Number 16 is the Mount Dennis campus opportunity. There is a letter from the Board of Directors. This is in Ward 5 in Speaker Nunziata's ward.
I'll hold it.
Speaker Nunziata. Okay, Speaker Nunziata is holding number 16. Number 17 is an award of request for tender Ariba document number 327-589-7747 to Buttcon Limited for the Indian Residential School Survivors Restoration of Identity Project on Nathan Phillips Square. There is a presentation on this by the Toronto Council Fire, so we are going to go to this. So I'm going to hold number 17 in my name. Number 18 is the Toronto Licensing Tribunal 2021 Annual Report. There's a report from the Executive Director of Municipal Licensing and Standards. Would anybody like to hold number 18? Seeing none, can I have somebody move the recommendations for number 18?
I'll move it.
Speaker Nunziata is moving the recommendations. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, we are going to go to, so we've moved number 17 to the beginning of the agenda. We have a presentation. This is the award of request for tender Ariba document number 327-589-7747 to Buttcon Limited for the Indian Residential School Survivors Restoration of Identity Project on Nathan Phillips Square. And we have a presentation from the Toronto Council Fire.
Mr. Chair, it's Pat Matozzo. I'll say a few words and then I'll introduce Andrea Christian from Toronto Council Fire.
Perfect.
First and
Thanks,
foremost, thanks, Mr. Chair, and to the committee for allowing me to say a few words about the Indian Residential School Survivors Restoration of Identity and Legacy Sculpture Project, and to introduce Andrea Christian, Board Designate for the Toronto Council Fire. The Indian Residential School Survivors Restoration of Identity and Legacy Sculpture Project is a highly anticipated undertaking that is integral to truth, justice, and reconciliation. For the City of Toronto, it represents a step forward in implementing Action 82 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's final report, as well as the City's recently adopted Reconciliation Action Plan. As the report shares, the project has two components, the Legacy Sculpture and the Spirit Garden, both of which will be established on Nathan Phillips Square. The commencement and ultimate completion of this project will be a space for Indigenous place keeping, for ceremony, teaching, and community. I'm sure that I speak for the entire Toronto Public Service in saying how happy we are that this project has reached this important milestone, and we are looking forward to the subsequent milestone, as well as ultimate completion of the project. I'd like to now turn it over to Andrea Christian from the Toronto Council Fire to say a few words and to introduce a Toronto Council Fire produced video that provides a rendering of the project and acknowledges many of those involved in the project. Andrea, over to you.
Oh, yeah. Sugoi Suguego. In the English, I extend my greetings and acknowledgement to everyone on behalf of Toronto Council Fire, those Indian residential school survivors we work with, their families, with special mention to those who have since passed on, including the many children whose bodies were found in the gravesites across the country. Continue what Gatsanoni, Ganto gets. In Oneida, I'm saying I'm happy to be here today to share our fly through video on the Spirit Garden, a space that evolved from the creation of our Earth Mother, or you referred to Turtle Island in a direct response to TRC 82, and I won't go through that. The gentleman has already expanded. We have since expanded it to include not only the restoration of identity, but a spirit space that allows for teaching, learning, sharing, and healing. And so we're really proud of the affiliation and the support that we've received over these years. And we initially started in the fall of 2016. So to each of you, your families, I say, you won't go. You know, it's really important that we give those acknowledgement and appreciation, and I'm sure that you'll appreciate the, you know, the fly through the imaging, what we first envisioned and has since evolved with the many contributors around the table. That's inclusive of so many of the creators from the Métis, Anishinaabe, the Ongohongwe, and the Inuit. So with that, I thank you again for giving us space, and I hope you really appreciate and look forward to this video and the completion of this opportunity. So, yeah.
Miigwech, Andrea, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you, Andrea. Miigwech, that's a wonderful presentation. Does anybody have any questions on this? Or sorry, Pat, I didn't know if anybody had any further comments from staff. Sorry, Pat, can you hear me?
I can. So yes.
Yep. Sorry, I
I'm here.
didn't know if anybody had any further comments or questions from the staff side of the table.
I don't think we do, Chair.
Okay. Does anybody from the committee have any questions of staff on this? Seeing none, would anybody like to speak?
Yeah, I just have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Speaker Nunziata.
Yeah, just to staff. So this project, it will be completed in 2023?
Our goal is to get mobilized as soon as we can and get it done by the end of 2023. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Nunziata. Would anybody have any other further comments or questions of staff? Seeing none, so I would just, Andrea, thank you very much for the presentation. Miigwech, merci. It's deeply appreciated. I come as a city councillor who represents a ward in the southeast corner of Scarborough, which Toronto has the largest Indigenous population in cities in Toronto from across Canada. My ward in the southeast corner of Scarborough has the second highest number of Indigenous residents in the city of Toronto. So I'm very proud, very happy to see that we're placing this spirit garden on Nathan Phillips Square. It's long overdue. I think it's a key piece of our truth, justice, and reconciliation that the city of Toronto is supporting. The turtle sculpture represents Turtle Island, which refers to our Mother Earth, and it will also be inscribed with the 17 residential schools that at one time existed in Ontario. And some of them didn't exist that long ago. So I think it's very important that we have this spirit garden on the grounds of Nathan Phillips Square in front of City Hall. And I want to thank everybody, the artists, everybody that worked on this. Thank you, Miigwech, merci. And I am moving the recommendations in the report. And if we could have a recorded vote.
Mr. Chair, this is a recorded vote on adopting GL 3017. All in favor? Mr. Chair Ainsley, Deputy Mayor Holliday, Speaker Nunziata, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Mantis, Councillor Fillion. Mr. Chair, that is unanimous.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Miigwech, merci to the members of the committee. That report has been approved unanimously by the committee. Thank you very much. Our next item is, we're going to go to item number 10, which is response to GL 29.21, ensuring accessibility and equity to Toronto taxi drivers and establishing a taxi cab fuel surcharge. We do have speakers.
Mr. Chair, can I just take a point of order?
Yes, Councillor Mantis.
I have to declare an interest for this item.
Okay.
One of my family members owns a taxi plate. I've already sent the declaration form to Matthew.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Councillor Mantis. Maybe you can just turn off your video screen and we will let you know when this item is dealt with. So members of the committee, as I said, we have speakers. We're on GL 30.10. Our first registered speaker is Andy Reedy. Mr. Reedy, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing your surname. Are you available?
Mr. Chair, we don't see that name online and on the video conference.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will hold that speaker down. The next speaker I have listed is Christine Hubbard. Ms. Hubbard, are you available?
Mr. Chair, again, that speaker is not present online that we can see and is not present in the room in the chamber here.
Okay, we will go to the third registered speaker, Estefanos Hale. Is Estefanos Hale available?
Mr. Chair, we saw that person online earlier. However, that name has also dropped off the video conference, and we don't see anyone else in the chamber here at the time.
All right. We will go to the fourth speaker, Tarsim Bambra. Is Tarsim Bambra available?
Again, another speaker that is not present on the video conference.
Okay. Our next registered speaker is Behrooz Kamsi. Sorry. Behrooz Kamsi.
And finally, Mr. Speaker, that name is not present online. And once again, we don't have any other members of the public here in the chamber with us.
Okay. So our last registered speaker is Shewali Razwoli from Beck Taxi.
And lastly, Mr. Speaker, that name is not present on the video conference with us.
Okay. So none of our registered speakers have made themselves available. So we will go to questions of staff on this item. Does anybody have questions of staff? No questions of staff. Does anybody would anybody like to speak on this item? Can I have somebody move the recommendations on this item? Would anybody like to move the recommendations on this item? I will move the recommendations on item GL 30.10. All in favor? And that carries. Matthew, if somebody could notify Councillor Mantis that we are done with number 10, please.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you. And our next item is GL 30.11, large multi-passenger pedaled vehicles on city streets. There is a confidential attachment that goes with this. We have one speaker, Lyle Jones from Pedal Pub Toronto.
And that speaker is
Mr.
present with
Jones,
us.
are you available? Mr. Jones, you have 5 minutes to address the committee. After you've spoken for up to 5 minutes, any member of the committee can question you on this item for up to 5 minutes. Then we bring it back to what we call bringing it back into committee, where each member of the committee can ask staff on this item for up to 5 minutes and then can speak on this item for up to 5 minutes and move motions on it. So Mr. Jones, whenever you're ready, you have 5 minutes to address the committee.
Chair, thank you everyone for your time today. I have a presentation, a short presentation. If I could be allowed presenting permissions.
Yes. Is it a video presentation or?
No, it's just a PDF.
Okay. Matthew, do you have the presentation or? Okay, there we go. Mr. Jones, proceed.
Can everyone see that? Great. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Lyle Jones and I'm a co-owner of Pedal Pub Toronto. And this is a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and our proposed resolution. Oops. So Pedal Pub Toronto is a 2-hour tour where a pilot guides up to 15 people to 3 bars. Passengers pedal, the driver controls steering and braking, and importantly, there's no alcohol on the bike. Our business directly supports the downtown visitor economy. Each tour results in over $1,000 spent at the various bars that we stop at. It's a fun and new way for the people of Toronto and tourists to experience the downtown. Here are some of our partner bars, Stack Market, Steam Whistle, Northern Maverick, and Rec Room Toronto. These types of businesses are in hundreds of cities throughout the world. Here are some Canadian examples: Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, Ottawa. Here's some American examples: Detroit, Austin, Atlanta, Indianapolis. Before we started our business, we inquired with MLS staff about getting a license. They advised that we'd be licensed under the existing pedicab bylaw. So we started a business, hired staff, and bought 4 bikes. The staff report before you recommends either banning the bikes entirely or allowing each company to operate 1 bike. Unfortunately, it requires 4 bikes to have a viable business. And our request to you is that the staff report be amended to allow us to operate 4 bikes per company. Just in summary, after the last 2 years, people are looking to get outside, have fun, see the downtown. Our business directly supports the downtown visitor economy. Each of the bars that are our partners are looking forward to the increased business from our tours. And we ask respectfully for your help in making it happen this summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Does anybody have any questions of the deputant?
Just a question.
Speaker Nunziata?
Yeah, so these pedal bikes, they'll be just strictly downtown?
So our business is strictly downtown.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there questions of staff? Councillor Matlow.
Could you speak to the request that was made that we allow for 4 rather than 1?
So I'll start and then I'll pass it over to my colleague, Fiona, the Director of Business Licensing. This is a new proposal. I'm not sure what the impact would be. We haven't fully studied it. We haven't reviewed it. As late as last night and early this morning, had conversations with the police. There may be some concerns as well about the safety of these vehicles. Do they have a proper braking lights? Should the passengers be wearing helmets? There's just a lot of things that are unknown. And so it's difficult for us to say 1 or 4. I obviously understand from the presenter that 4 is its business model and needs, that turnover. So again, I understand the ask. It's just a challenge from the city without fully understanding how this works. The impact on city streets, pedestrians, etc. We've been through this with e-scooters, e-bikes. Again, these are challenges that we have not seen and would need to understand how they would work and consult with our partners in transportation services as well.
The pedal bars are fairly popular in the South, like Tennessee, Florida. Have you had an opportunity? I don't know if they're anywhere else, but certainly I'm aware of those. Have you had an opportunity to check in with any other jurisdictions that have had experiences with them and understood a little more about the pros and cons and regulations that they've found to be best practices?
Yeah. So through the speaker to the councillor, great question, and we have not. I have been to Nashville. I've seen these. They're actually significantly different. There's actually drinking on these, on those ones where you bring your alcohol and you put it in a cooler and then you tour around. So we have not done the jurisdictional scan that I think that we do for all of our work, and so we don't know the how they've worked in other cities, what the impacts have been. So that's a body of work that would need to be done. We've done some research, but not at that length.
How long do you think, how some of these things with your workload and the paces, things go in Toronto, and Toronto is notorious to, notoriously slow on entertaining ideas. Often it has a reputation as such. Are you suggesting that we just kind of park this for a while, or would you like to expeditiously explore options to make this work? Like, what is your intention? If assuming that you get feedback that it can work.
Yeah, so great question. We haven't done the work. We don't know what we like. We don't want to hold things up. We don't want to slow down business, travel, tourism, bringing back the economy. But it is challenging for us. There's a fair bit of work, and we already have, as you alluded to, a a pretty extensive work plan already. We're booking into 2024, as I would say, because we have so many outstanding report requests. So there's a lot of work that goes with this. Again, I understand, and why we brought this here is to get assistance from decision makers on whether we try a pilot or not.
And could you just speak a little more to the pilot?
I'll turn this over to Fiona.
Thank you, Councillor and Carlton. Interestingly enough, after this report was made public, the province announced a pilot for large quadricycles, and this is referenced in the confidential report as well, and perhaps we can discuss that a little bit more there. But there is a suggestion in the provincial regulations that speaks to between 12 to 20 passengers, vehicle type, speeds, roads that they can proceed. There does appear to be a suggestion that municipalities should consider this and opt in with a set of regulations, and it also articulates a set of a variety of points that the municipality might consider in adopting this or not, as the case may be.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, Councillor Matlow.
Questions, Mr. Chair. Stephen Holiday.
Deputy Mayor Holiday, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you to MLS staff. Could you just describe the vehicle? I know there was a picture up there, but for my benefit, it's not a bike. It's something a little different, correct? It's not supposed to go through a bike lane. Have I got that right?
Go ahead, Fiona.
Oh, sorry, Carlton. Yes, it is not a bike, and it absolutely should not be in a bike lane. Under the pilot, however, it is not a vehicle, as we might understand under the Highway Traffic Act. I will mention that we do have colleagues from Transportation Services also available to address this if you wanted to speak more specifically about the Highway Traffic Act or some of their issues.
I think my questions are fairly general. So, the intent is it goes on the road is what I'm getting at, and I understand that correctly. What speed does the vehicle operate at?
It is a slow-moving vehicle, and I would, so definitely less than 20 kilometers per hour.
Okay. And the intention of it is to travel within, at least from the example we heard today, is to travel within the downtown core of the city. Do I understand that correctly? Do we have restrictions on where they can go, or do they follow the roads?
Thank you, Councillor. If Council was to choose option B, or 1B rather, and opt for the pedicab license, there are restrictions around how pedicabs can operate and how they can operate. And so they are prohibited on Front Street, King Street, and Queen Street, bounded by Spadina and Jarvis, as well a stretch of Gerrard between Bloor and Yonge.
Okay.
There is also restrictions on hours in the evening rush hour between 3:30 and 6:30 on Monday to Friday, unless it's a stat holiday. And then there's an insurance provision and the like. As well, pedicabs, the driver must also be licensed.
Okay.
I should also perhaps mention, I stand corrected, one of the staff was advising me that the provincial pilot actually talks about a threshold of 16 kilometers per hour for this vehicle.
All right, so 16 kilometers. I can't see it going faster based on the picture I saw, so I think, I understand that. But what we have before us today, I don't want to mix up what the deputant spoke to us about. We're really just dealing with a class of device. I'm going to be careful not to call it a vehicle because, I'm not quite sure where it lays, and maybe you know the answer to that. But we're dealing with a device, and it may not be a pub tour, the next operator that comes around that wants to put these on the street, and it may not be in the downtown core. Is that fair? Like, we're talking about licensing multiple passenger devices, whatever we want to call them, anywhere within 416. Is that right?
Um, um, I guess potentially, should
Okay.
council decide to take option 1B. And I'll just reiterate to Carlton's point, the second recommendation is regardless of whether council directs staff to proceed with either option number 1 or 1B, we do think there's a tremendous opportunity to review this issue in general with our partners, emergency services, the TTC, and the stakeholders, and then report back.
Understood. So we're at a crossroads though today, I think, with the report. It's either allow something to operate or not allow something to operate. And then we're going to go and consult. Is that sort of the simplest thing that's before us?
I think that's a good general characterization. Thank you.
Okay. And then the final question I had is there circumstances where these vehicles may operate on a street that is only 2 lanes? So they would become effectively a slow-moving vehicle on a 2-lane road, wherever the plan is to operate it. I just want to make sure I understand what's before us.
There, Councillor, I will defer to my colleagues in transportation services.
Thank you.
The pedicab, just to be really clear, there is a restriction on the set of roads that I described, but otherwise they can operate on all other city roads, obviously with the exception of any of the expressways, but I will defer to transportation in this regard.
It's okay if we don't.
Okay. This is Master from Transportation Services. The only concern that we may have from transportation is that they select a route where it's a street, where there's a streetcar route, where you have 2 lanes in each direction, and 1 lane is probably parking during the course of the day. And if they operate on, the center lane where the streetcar is, it could impede travel of the streetcar and delay other motorists as well. So we'd like to keep them off those particular sections of road if they choose to ride anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Holliday. Are there further questions on this?
Yeah, I just have one question to staff. The buggies that we have, I've seen them downtown where there's a buggy and a couple pedestrians sit in it and somebody runs and walks. What are they licensed? Like how do they operate? Isn't it? Yeah, you know what I mean. I've seen them. I've seen them downtown, and now that it just came, is it the same?
Councillor, that's a pedicab under the definition currently of under Chapter 545.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Nunziata. Other questions on this item? Seeing none. Speakers? Councillor Matlow?
Remind me, which is the option to move forward with the pilot?
Would be 1B.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Thanks, bartender. So I've seen these in, no, I was not on one with Carlton, Grant, and Nashville. I was going to make actually an amendment to send Carlton back to Nashville to do a little more investigation. But honestly, I recognize that there are some concerns about safety and people stumbling off them and all that kind of stuff. Truth be told, that stuff has happened in cities in Europe and throughout the United States where these are already. But if we're going to be honest with ourselves, that's not the only place that people stumble around and do dumb things. So people stumble around and do dumb things. It's not exclusive to these quasi vehicles. And the reality also is that they are such a sight. They add such flavor and animation to the cities where they're at. They're always a sight to behold when they go by. People smile, people cheer, people wave to each other. It can be a lot of fun. And in the context, or in the way that I understand this would play out here in Toronto, I think it would also be very good for business and very good for the small businesses in our city that want to be part of these sort of programs that these companies would prepare. So I'm more than happy to support trying this. I understand there's something coming from the chair that will try to make this more feasible. And I encourage all of you to support moving forward. I just want to remind you, like, I was just remembering that I don't mean to conflate the issues, but I just remember when I asked council to last year to allow for responsible adults to have a drink in a park. The response from the chair of the committee was literally, Toronto is not the city of no. Toronto is the city of not now. Such and I think we can do better. I think let's try this. Let's allow this. And obviously, these companies do not want anyone to be unsafe as well, because frankly, it's bad for us all, and it's not good for them either. So happy to move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Matlow. Other speakers on this item?
Chair, I wish to speak, but you may want to, if you want to go ahead, it's, or if others want to go ahead, it's up to them. If not, you let me know.
Yep, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Holt, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair, respectfully,
I can tell you the gist of the motion that I'm going to move at the end. Is I'm amending 1B to increase the number of licenses from 2 to 8.
Understood, and I'll just keep mine to comments and not move a motion. Mr. Chair, I'm going to be the dissenting voice in this, respectfully. I've read the material, I've thought this through. I think, I'm thinking about the more generic picture and thinking less about the presentation before us. I'm thinking about the imagery of a very slow moving vehicle in our inner downtown core that is already congested and already experiences points of frustration with construction, particularly during the summer months. And, what we know with the council report that was put before us concerning the construction of a subway and, what that means for moving around downtown. And, we're so fortunate to have more public transit coming, but this is one of those things that are going to move down the road at a very slow pace. And, I fear people may react harshly to that or attempt to pass it or do things that amp up the risk. So, look, I really appreciate the entrepreneurship of this business that spoke to us today. And, it sounds like a neat and a fun idea. I just don't see it here in the inner core. Perhaps there are better places to do this kind of thing. And so, as a councillor, I've got to balance all of that out. That there is that public interest of economic development and helping businesses and, maybe finding something fun to do. But there's also the practical lens of, having a slow moving vehicle that moves at 16 kilometers an hour down the street, moving around in a downtown core that already experiences many difficult points. And, I'm going to opt on the side of the latter. I think I know the politics of this, and, I understand council and its permissive approach to these sorts of things. So, I'll take a moment to wish the operator the best of luck if this does go through council. I hope that they will operate in a responsible manner as they've presented to us. And make a good go of it. I will make one final pitch is, I hope that
the chamber. Sounds like it's just coming back now.
Okay, I can hear you, Matthew. I can't hear.
And it looks like that was just very temporary. I apologize. We have held
Not your fault.
Deputy Mayor's time. I believe we are reconnected, and I think we can proceed. I apologize.
Okay. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Holliday, we lost you there for a moment.
No trouble at all. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'm advised that the feed did drop off for a moment there, so I may have missed a few words, but I'll just summarize in saying that if council chooses to approve this item, which is quite possible, I wish the operator well, and I hope that they continue to follow through on their comments on being safe and putting safety first, and consider offering helmets to riders. I know we can't require them to wear them, but if that choice is there, just to make things safer, because I recognize that drinking is involved and that people move in a lateral way along the street on one of these devices. But with that, Mr. Chair, I just respectfully would like to express my dissent and just would ask for a recorded vote on the final item, as I don't quite agree with it at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Holliday. Other speakers on this item? Seeing none. So Matthew, if we could put forward, sorry, it's Councillor Ainsley. I'm going to speak. I am going to move an amendment to 1B. If I could have it on the screen so that we can increase the number of licenses in the pilot project from 2 to 8. I appreciate the number from staff's perspective, but I think in a practical manner, 8 pedicab business licenses on a pilot project in the city of Toronto is a more acceptable number. I want to thank the deputy for coming in this morning. I want to thank staff for the work that they've done. I'm going to echo comments from our colleagues. As we're coming out of COVID, one of the hardest hit sectors or industries in the city of Toronto were our restaurants. And I think this is one mechanism that we can help support our restaurants in the city of Toronto get back on their feet post-COVID. I think it's a very creative idea. I've seen it operate in other cities. It's done very, very well, very responsibly. I'm sure that the business operators will ensure that their customers, to the best of their ability, don't get hurt or injured. As a former small business owner myself, I can say you never want your customers, anything to happen to your customers that's going to negatively impact on your business. So I am sure with the guidance of our licensing staff that the business operators will do their best. I look forward to trying one out myself. Maybe we can go for a tour after one of our general government and licensing committees when the pedicabs are up and running. I think it would be a lot of fun, and maybe we could go for a lunch tour and support the businesses in our downtown core. Thank you very much. At this point, does anybody have any questions on my motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, can you just confirm what your motion is, because I haven't seen it on the screen?
Yeah, so 1B, is recommending moving forward with the pilot project, but I'm amending 1B to increase the number of licenses from 2 to 8.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions.
Can I ask for a recorded vote, Paul?
Matthew, can we have a recorded vote on my amendment? Sorry, Matthew, do we just do item as amended, or do you need a...
On the whole thing.
So first, we should do a recorded vote on your amendment.
Okay.
We have. If the committee wants to recommend 1B, I think I had heard that from Councillor Matlow. So we also would have a motion on that City Council proceed with option 1B as amended, or potentially, depending on the result of the vote. But we'll vote on your amendment first, and then Councillor Matlow, and then item as amended, I believe.
Okay, all right.
So a recorded vote on the amendment by Chair Ainsley. All in favor? Councillor Ainsley, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Fillion, Councillor Mantis in the room with me, Speaker Nunziata. All opposed? Deputy Mayor Holliday. Mr. Chair, that is 5 in favor, 1 opposed. That motion carries. We can do a motion from Councillor Matlow that City Council adopt or proceed with motion 1B as amended, or option 1B as amended. It sounds like you wanted a recorded vote on that as well.
Yes.
So all in favor of Councillor Matlow's motion? Chair Ainsley, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Fillion, Councillor Mantis, Councillor Nunziata, and all opposed to that motion? Deputy Mayor Holiday. Again, 5 in favor and 1 opposed, and that motion carries. And we'll do the item as amended. All in favor? Chair Ainsley, Councillor Matlow, pardon me, Councillor Fillion, Councillor Mantis, Speaker Nunziata. All opposed, and Deputy Mayor Holiday. Once again, that item as amended carries, and that the vote is 5-1, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everyone. Our next item is GL 30.7, Toronto Parking Authority Settlement Proposals with Leased Tenants, held by Councillor Fillion. Councillor Fillion, there is a confidential attachment. I don't know if you wanted to go in camera.
I think we would, I think my questions would probably, I'm looking for more of an explanation than we received in the report. And I'm guessing that would move it in camera. I'm not totally clear on that.
Okay. So the staff that are available, can you give an appropriate explanation of this item without us needing to go into camera, or would you prefer as well to go into camera?
Mr. Chair, it's Pat Matozzo. Given the nature of the question, may lead to go into camera, so I think it's best we go in camera.
Okay. All right. So I am going to hold this item down for the end of our meeting. So I will hold that down. Our next item is number 12, confirmation program response rate, held by Deputy Mayor Holiday. This also has a confidential attachment. Deputy Mayor Holiday, do you have questions of staff that you can do in public, or would you prefer to go in camera as well?
No questions, Mr. Chair, either in public or in camera.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions on this item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Holiday, you held this item. Did you wish to speak?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chair, I just have a rather simple 3-part motion. If I may ask the clerks to present it, and I will paraphrase to make it efficient.
Okay.
The first 2 parts essentially ask the CISO to continue to report to this committee on the confirmation program and the various parts of it. And the third item asks that any specific entity within the city that is being reported on by the CISO be available for questions at this committee. And, it really just creates an evergreening process of the report that's before us. And I will only say that, really just in public, that this report is of high value, and I really appreciate that it is before the committee and for all members of council to access, because I believe it's quite important. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Holiday. Does anybody have any questions of the mover? Seeing none. Other speakers on this item? Seeing none, I would just like to thank the Chief Information Security Officer for the very comprehensive report before us today. It is very much appreciated. And to Deputy Mayor Holiday for the amendment, which I will be supporting. Seeing that, so we have an amendment by Deputy Mayor Holiday. All in favor? That carries. Item is amended. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Our next item is GL 30.16, the Mount Dennis Campus Opportunity in Ward 5, held by Speaker Nunziata. Speaker Nunziata, do you have questions of staff?
No, I don't. Just want to speak, and I do have a motion.
Okay.
Unless-
Does anybody else have? Sorry, Speaker Nunziata.
Okay, I do have a motion, Mr. Chair. I put it on the screen. that City Council direct the Deputy City Manager, Corporate Services, and the Chief Technology Officer to work with Creatio, George Brown College, and private sector service providers to look for opportunities for the city to support broadband connectivity to the proposed new George Brown campus project. And I'll just speak on it. First of all, I'm very pleased to move the recommendation that we have before us on the agenda, and as well as the report from Creatio. Just to give you a bit of history, I've been working with the Mount Dennis Community Association, the Campus Development, and Creatio, and as well as economic development. And we've had a number of meetings in the past couple of years to look at possibility, and we've had a study in the area. As you know, there's increased transit in that area. We have to go, we have the up, and we have the Eglinton line as well. And we did reach out to various institutions, and as a matter of fact, it was Williams, before he retired, that actually sent out letters to all the various institutions if there was an interest. And I'm pleased to say that George Brown College has shown an interest and interested in coming to Mount Dennis. So I want to thank the community for working with us and being there in the number of meetings that we've had. And so as it was announced on Wednesday, the City of Toronto, Creatio, and George Brown College in partnership will work to explore a new campus project in Mount Dennis area as part of a broader city building initiative. George Brown College stepped forward and has confirmed its interest to work in partnership with the city to assess the feasibility of a campus investment project in Mount Dennis area as part of the broader campus master planning exercise. Digital connectivity is essential for broader city building as needed for a wide-ranging social, economic, and environmental and cultural benefits for the community. So I'm moving that motion along with the report that we have before us, including the confidential report.
Thank you, Speaker Nunziata. Does anybody have any questions of Speaker Nunziata? Seeing none, would anybody else like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I just want to thank Speaker Nunziata for all of her work on this project to date with the Mount Dennis campus opportunity. I know that she had the mayor out to her ward on Wednesday, and I think this is a very exciting opportunity, not only for the City of Toronto and George Brown campus, but in particular the residents in Speaker Nunziata's ward. And I look forward to a groundbreaking ceremony and a ribbon cutting. I will wholeheartedly be supporting this and Councillor Nunziata's motion as well. Thank you. So we have.
Can I ask for a recorded vote, please, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On my motion, and then as well as the item as amended.
Perfect, no problem. Matthew, recorded vote on Speaker Nunziata's motion. All in favor of Speaker Nunziata's motion?
All in favor? Chair Ainsley, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Mantis, Councillor Fillion, Speaker Nunziata, and Deputy Mayor Holliday. The motion carries unanimously. All in favor of the item as amended. Chair Ainsley, Councillor Mantis. All in favor? Councillor Mantis, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Fillion, I believe, Councillor Nunziata, and Deputy Mayor Holliday. Again, that is unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
All right, let the record show that that item passes the General Government Licensing Committee unanimously. So we are now going back to GL 30.7, Toronto Parking Authority Settlement Proposals with Leased Tenants in Ward 13, held by Councillor Fillion. It has a confidential attachment. We're going to move in camera. I need a motion from the clerk.
1 second, we're just preparing the motion to go into closed session.
Thank you, Matthew. I am moving the following motion that the General Government Licensing Committee recess its public session to meet in closed session to consider the following items: GL 30.7 Toronto Parking Authority settlement proposals with leased tenants as it pertains to litigation or potential litigation that affects the city or one of its agencies or corporations. All in favor of the motion? That motion carries, and we will just give staff a few moments to prepare us to go in camera. Matthew, let us know when we're ready to proceed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. We'll just hold for maybe about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll check back in and we can proceed.
It was almost better than grade school, 2 recesses in one morning. All right, I am going to call this meeting back to order. We went in camera or to privately to deal with GL 30.7, Toronto Parking Authority settlement proposals with leased tenants, to deal with the confidential attachment. We're now back in public session. This item was held by Councillor Fillion. Councillor Fillion, did you have any comments on public you would like to make?
Yes, first of all, a motion that I believe the clerk has. So I'll be moving that, and the Auditor General has reviewed several matters related to the parking authority previously. So I would like to send this to her, and it would be her choice whether to look into anything or not. I will not be supporting the recommendations. I still have unanswered questions, and so I would like a recorded vote, and I will be voting against. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Fillion. Other speakers on this item, public comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll speak very briefly as well.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Holiday.
Thank you. I wish to thank Councillor Fillion for placing the motion. I am in full support of referring this over to a copy of the report over to the auditor for her consideration. I have the benefit that the public do not of receiving information in private on this matter, which I need to consider carefully. But what I would say, from the public-facing components of this, as any citizen of the city reading this would have lots of questions, and would want to make sure that the city's agencies are protecting every penny of tax dollars and maximizing our assets. But I also have to be practical in trying to deal with the council matter before me. So I'll be casting my vote accordingly to that, but most certainly want to encourage a vigorous look at what happened here, what the lessons are, who did what, and ensuring that we are managing every city asset and every contract as best as we can as a city government, all in the eyes and the interest of the taxpayer and our great city. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Holiday. Other speakers on this item?
Mr. Chair, I'll just move the recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Speaker Nunziata. And I believe that is everybody. I will be supporting the recommendations in the confidential report. I want to thank staff for their work on this item to date and putting the proper processes in place that we need so this doesn't happen again in the future. Thank you. So Matthew, we have a motion before us from Councillor Fillion, I think is the first vote.
Yep, Mr. Chair, we'll take that up. I understand there was a request for a recorded vote on this.
Okay. All in favor of the motion by Councillor Fillion?
Councillor Fillion? Councillor Ainsley?
No, sorry, Matthew. Sorry, Matthew. I'm opposed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought you had your hand up. This is on Councillor Fillion's motion.
This is for the Auditor General.
That is correct. Councillor Fillion's motion regarding the Auditor General. All in favor? Councillor Fillion? Councillor Mantis? Speaker Nunziata? Deputy Mayor Holiday? All opposed? Councillor Ainsley? Mr. Chair, that is 4-1, and that motion carries. On the item as amended.
Thank you.
Item as amended. All in favor?
No, that's.
All in favor of the item as amended, Chair Ainsley? Councillor Mantis? Speaker Nunziata? Deputy Mayor Holiday? All opposed to the item as amended? Councillor Fillion? Mr. Chair, that is 4 in favor, 1 opposed. The item is amended, carries.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. And I believe that was our last item on the agenda.
That is correct.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody's time this morning and your work on the committee. And staff, Matthew, please send our thanks to everybody in the clerk's office and the audiovisual department at City Hall. Thank you very much. And have